Hello there. Hi, it's Tuesday, and this is Linda Adsets from Go for Joy. So, coming live to you from South Surrey, White Rock. It's 8:45 Pacific West Coast time, the end of what was a stunning day, kind of day that drew you outside and it's had me stopping to feel the breeze, the coolish breeze, but it was lovely. And the sun on my skin, the breeze. And when I was walking through the woods to see the sun dappling through the new leaves and the trees, creating the pattern on like these were all things that just kind of caught my eyes. And there were birds in there singing, which I hadn't heard from in a little while. So that was lovely. That was absolutely lovely. And of course, I met some really nice dogs along the way. Shepherd, English sheepdog, poodle cross called Noodles, who was 8 months old, and he was just loved people, love people. So that was a lot of fun. And two other little dogs, one a little bit shy, one not so shy. Anyway, I just love dogs and people. And I always thank the owners for the visit because we haven't had a dog for a little while, and it's nice to visit with dogs. Kind of miss that energy in the house. Not enough to get another one at this point. Not at this point. And I do this. I'm looking at a photograph that when our dog passed, a friend blew one up and framed it and gave it to us. So it's sitting there just over my desk with painting that my son had done and given to his grandmother. And when they moved out to their home, she gave it to me, asked me, and I said, I'd love it because I thought he'd done it for me. He asked me to get it framed, and I said, oh, that's beautiful. And he said, yes, I'm going to send it to Grandma. And I'm like, oh, well, isn't that nice? But I got it back. So Tuesday, there's a lot of energies out there playing out, especially in the States. Very strong energies as that country is moving through massive changes, different Medicaid. I hate this mirror thing. I'm always doing the wrong way. Wrong way. Anyway, sorry. It's distracting. It's really odd to be doing a video and looking at yourself and talking. So the states, the bill, the big beautiful bill that passed Congress, and now it's in Senate, and the Senate will be debating it, and it's all about money. I mean, I don't just mean the bill, which has got a lot of cuts in it, but the senators that are debating it, and they're from their different states, and they're advocating for their states. And the president down there doesn't want to give money to blue states because, he could have won them, he says, but he didn't. You know how it goes. I'm not getting very specific with it because this is all for entertainment purposes only. And apparently there are keywords sometimes that they pick up. So I'll be broad on it, and people can infer what they will about it. And in Canada, we've got a new leader in, and he's just got back from Europe, or soon to be back from Europe after meeting with EU leaders and beginning the process of guiding Canadians through as he'll table a budget in the fall. There are some Canadians that are unhappy about that. Why is it taking so long? But it's not unusual at all for a new prime minister to take his time because he's got to get the lay of the land, and how is he going to do this? What he knows what he wants to do. And then, as I've listened to him before, he looks at the outcome that he wants, and then he works back from that. How is that going to happen? What do we have to do to achieve that outcome? So he needs to get all the parts and pieces together and figure it out in his head before he decides what the budget is. Now, he said that he will not cut back that which is already in place in Canada, and his mandate is to grow the economy, grow the GPD, which I understand is easier to do than cutting back because our GPT to ratio to debt is pretty decent. So we're not in a bad position at all. And we got a world-class economist leading us. So, you've got Canadians that like him and Canadians that don't like him, that are almost, we call them the Maple MAGAs. And you've got the MAGAs down in the States, and we've got our Maple MAGAs who haven't yet really caught on, as some of the MAGAs down in the States haven't caught on to what is going on. Some of them are, and they're getting a little bit upset, especially the ones that got hit with those tornadoes, right? I've not heard the president acknowledge that happened. And they haven't been told they're getting FEMA. So it is a thing, and these are red states. And these are states that don't have a lot of money anyway. So it's a tough position to be in. In Canada, we have a distinct social safety net that the Maple MAGAs benefit by. And yet you would think we lived in a communist country the way they talk. So it's an interesting juxtaposition to watch all of this going on. Meanwhile, there's a lot of good news out there. A lot of absolutely stunningly good news out there. Good news in the weather in the immediate vicinity. Good news with inventions. Good news of, people talking, world leaders talking, trying to figure out what they're going to do. Now, finally, an acknowledgement of, it seems to be more of an acknowledgement of what's going on in Gaza, leaving Israel kind of hanging out there. Because you can't deny what's going on anymore. You can't. And just because you decry Israel's actions, which are horrendous, doesn't make you anti-Semitic. It just means you're unwilling to turn a blind eye and you know what's going on. It's a genocide in Gaza. And so it's so far away. It's like our the opposition leader who got booted out of his riding and now has to do a by-election trying to get back to be the opposition leader. When talking about the Ukraine war, initially when Trudeau, when other prime minister was in and they were looking for funds and to help Ukraine out, and he's like, no, why would we do that? It's an ocean away. And that is a lot of a viewpoint of a lot of people. It's over there. It's over there. It's not right here. It's not in my immediate reality. It doesn't really matter to me. There's nothing I can do about it. That's true. But to acknowledge it, to send prayers, to send money if you're able. I mean, there's all sorts of ways to support the devastation, not to support the devastation, to help out the people within that those circumstances, be it in Ukraine or Gaza or countries where hunger is an issue, especially since the U.S. has cut off USAID money to different countries in Africa. So we can do our bit. And then we can do our bit in our own community, because there are people that are, as someone asked me a question, what you do, and the expenses are more than the income coming in. When you're retired and you've got a kind of a set income coming in, what do you do? And I answered that in another video. And primarily it was, don't be the victim. Don't play the victim to this. Don't say it's not fair, though it may be not fair. Definitely you're feeling like that's not fair. And that's used also by others that go, our seniors shouldn't have to do this whilst we give money to Ukraine. Well, in actual fact, there's enough money in this world to feed and house everyone, absolutely everyone. So it's just a matter of will. and this globalization that Trump doesn't like, and the carnies. So there's a globalization's got a bad rap. But if you look at globali someone that's a globalist is looking at everything, how everything is impacting every country. And I mentioned this in the video last night, was that 1,000,000 people in 2024 had been lifted out of poverty in Asia, uh, in the Asian countries. That's a million people lifted out of poverty, primarily probably through manufacturing goods for Western world. And so is that a bad thing? So we are part of a global economy, and the energies, it's global. So you can say it's over there, but it's not. We're affected by it. Our energies affect it, and how we see the world, how we want to see change. All of that, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. So you get to make a difference by how you see the world, how you'd like the world to look like, what you think um, is fair and equitable, right? What is fair and equitable? Is it that everyone, no matter their circumstances, is housed, fed, clothed, educated, despite how you think perhaps they're not worthy of it. Well, just by being human, we are worthy of that at the very least. And then everything else on top of that is icing on the cake, you know, for some people who want more. So I can't say that it's that others shouldn't have the bare minimum. I think they should have. And if my tax dollars go towards that, I'm fine with that. And there's a lot of conservatives that don't agree with that. And my husband agrees with my point of view as well. And he's paid a lot of taxes, a lot of taxes through the years. And I've generated a lot through businesses. I've had the tax money that got collected and paid into the government. And I don't have a problem with that. I just don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with it not being spent when it's not being spent in better ways, say, not being managed properly. But big government's big, and they need to get out of their own way and allow for less government, so better like housing solutions can come about. And Carney's working on some of that to cut some of the red tape, because there's a lot of wonderful solutions out there, and they just take the will of the people and people that have out of the box thinking. And you have to just kind of go, okay, fine. What can we do? What can we do? What can I do to be part of the change that I want to see on this planet? So, this is interesting. So, how about you take a deep breath right now? And another one. And just allow your body to relax, your shoulders to drop and droop. Allow the muscles in your body to relax. And just imagine there's a nice, soft, gentle breeze, and birds are singing. The sky is blue. Maybe there's some white, fluffy clouds. Maybe you're lying on the grass, or you're just sitting with your feet in the grass, totally connected to the planet. And in that state of being totally connected to the planet, also being totally connected to yourself, to your soul, to your higher being. Breathe in again. And allow that to settle in, that thought that I'm fully with myself right now. I'm fully with the planet right now. Breathe in and breathe out. And breathe that in again. And breathe out. And breathing gently, knowing that you are part of everything, of all the energies out there. Part of it all. Noticing, observing, but not getting caught up into it. Noticing, observing, not getting caught up into it. And from that place of noticing and observing, imagine your idea of a perfect world. What does that look like? What does that mean to you? Just imagine that. And if you can't imagine that, what does it feel like? What does it feel like if you get up in the morning and all you hear is good news, right? Just good news. What does it feel like when you walk out your door and the birds are singing and your neighbors are waving, saying hello, and you know that everyone is happy and well fed, that the children are being looked after? What does that feel like? Can you kind of set yourself, imagine you're flying over wherever you are into a more remote area, be it on the indigenous reserves, be it on the in South America, in some of the poor countries, be it in Africa. Imagine that you're just in your perfect world. You're flying from your place into those places, whichever one you choose. And then imagine what it looks like in that perfect world. Imagine the children running and laughing and playing. Imagine they're going to school and learning. Imagining their bellies are full of food. Imagine their mothers are happy and productive, earning money for their family. Imagine. What does that feel like? And you're just observing from this, like an ego looking down. Right? Have you got that? You've got it. I know you have it. And so from that place, that is what's possible. Now take a deep breath and gently bring yourself back to where you are. Wherever you're sitting, whatever you're doing, just sitting in the chair back into this reality as you're listening to my voice. Allow that to come into your forefront again. And then in that quiet, peaceful place, I'm going to draw a card. I'm going to draw a card. And it's a card just for you. So this card keeps coming up. Be patient. And it makes perfect sense what we're talking about. Be patient. Notice she's sitting in a chair in the middle of a clock and there's no hands on the clock. Be patient. There is divine timing at play. You don't know what it means. You don't know in this clock. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know what time it is. She's in the middle of it. As you are in the middle of it. As the world, the planet is in the middle of things right now. And so we have to be patient. And in that patience, we can do what we just did. We can visualize a wonderful world, a happy world, a world where children are fed and educated, a world where everyone's housed, where everyone that has issues can have them resolved with love and kindness, a world that's kind and friendly to everyone, right? And be patient and know that will come about, and it will come about faster if that's where you put your attention on that thought, that knowing. Be patient. And then of course I had to pull another card. I can't help myself. Build on solid ground. So that's what you want to see is our politicians, our business leaders, the organizations of volunteer and society. Help them to build on solid ground. Build on solid ground for you and your family and your community. Build on solid ground. Right? Take action where you can. Build on solid ground. And I'm reminded of my new grandson. My son said he stood up on the sofa. He was sitting on the sofa and he pulled himself up from the back and he said he was wobbly and his legs were apart. Oh, I'm standing here. Look at me. But of course he was a little wobbly. And he said he was a little wobbly. And I said, well, of course he was. He wasn't on solid ground. right? He wasn't on solid ground. He was on cushions, so it was all kind of wobbly. So build on solid ground. You have to give solid ground in order to stand on your own 2 feet. You have to be on solid ground to be able to move forward, so you're not sinking into the quagmire of the noise out there, the shit out there. Excuse my language. S-H-I. Shite, the shite out there, right? So be patient and build on solid ground. And then the next card, of course, there's another card. I can't help myself. Make no judgments. Just because things don't look the way you think they should be, don't make a judgment about it. We have no idea what's going on in other people's lives. So if you want to help, help, but do it from a place of no judgment. Do it from a place of not expecting anything back. Do it from a place of not expecting any specific outcome, right? You're just doing what you're called to do to help in whatever way you can. And then you put it out there and you just let it lay from your place of building on solid ground. And you have no judgment about what other people are doing. Of course, you have your opinions. Of course, you do. Of course, you're observing. Of course, you would prefer one thing or another, of course. But step back from the judgments. And how do you know you're judging? It feels shitty. Judgment doesn't feel good at all, right? It doesn't. It feels horrible in the body. It's bad for the body. So take your time with this and be at peace where you are. Okay, another card. I'm hearing no. That's it. That's it. So we're 22 minutes in. Not another card. I think we covered a lot of ground here. And so just to reiterate, be patient. You don't know the timing of any of this. There's a divine timing going on. There is an accumulation of energies coming together, and they have to come together. There has to be a tipping point before things come to another conclusion. So before things can end and they can begin again. So be patient. You don't know the timing of this at all. I mean, we're lucky if we know the timing in our lives of something, and we've got more control over that. So be patient with yourself primarily, right? And then be patient with what's going on out there. Just know this planet has been around for a long time. What we're going through, we've gone through before. This is not unusual, but the evolution of it is quite unusual right now. Quite unusual. It's kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity, but we've had big changes before, and we've moved through them, with some grace sometimes and ease sometimes, or messily sometimes. Think about the 60s. Always messy, some of it. Horrible. But people were ready to go out in the streets, and that may happen again. People go out in the streets. This is me. This is my face. This is my situation. Look at me. You can't deny that I'm here, that I exist, and I'm on planet, that I'm human, and I have needs. So if you're part of wanting to do that kind of protest, and go ahead and do it. Be safe out there when you do it. Write letters to letters help. Because if you write letters to your senator, your in Canada, your MP, your local MP, the whatever, it helps, because enough letters, and encourage other people to write letters, because enough letters make a difference. And so 100 letters may seem like nothing to you, but if they don't ever get 100 letters on one topic, right, then that's a lot. That makes them sit up and pay attention to what's going on and figure maybe we should do something about this. Start petitions. They're so easy to do online, right? So easy to do online. So easy to share through Facebook. So easy. So, get involved. So we have to be patient and build on solid ground. Build on solid ground. So the solid ground is what? Maybe it's a letter writing campaign. Maybe it's a petition that you get going for whatever cause that you feel called to. Maybe it's learning more about the things that bug you. Learning about, for instance, I've been watching stuff on economics, which is something I thought I would never in a million years. Like, I have some interest. My dad used to talk to me about finances, and it was more about investing. And 20 minutes in, my head was like, I'd be like, "Okay, Dad, thank you. That's enough. I can't take in anymore." But I listened to an hour and a half video, conversation, a panel talking about economics, world economics, um, and that was fascinating to me, absolutely fascinating. And then that also gave context to some of the things that Prime Minister Carney had said about economics in Canada. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm getting it. And I find that fascinating that I'm fascinated. So, pay attention to that. And so is that building on solid ground? I think it is because you get more sure about things. Um, More sure, less sure, more information's good. And then you intuit, you feel what's good for you, good for your family. From a peaceful, good place, excuse me, from a peaceful and good place, not a place of fear. Okay? And then, of course, make no judgments. Observe, don't make any judgments. Again, just feels crappy. It feels crappy. So with that, I'm going to say so long, farewell, good night. We're just about 30 minutes in. And let me know in comments if you enjoyed this, what part you enjoyed, if you're interested in asking questions to have any specific talk about any specific topics. And if you want more quick meditations, I'm happy to do that. Happy to do that. Okay, take care. And I'll say good night for now. Bye.